Hello. Say hi. Oh, that was so loud. We have neighbors downstairs. Oh. All right, last chapter of The Witch of Blackbird Pond. This is going to be the end of this one. It's been so much fun, but we'll start another one tomorrow. So I'm going to show off a couple of things, but first, just for fun, what did you have for dinner? And I love doing this because when people put in the chat what they had for dinner, it gives me ideas when I tell you what I had for dinner. Because you kind of get stuck in a rut making the same things over and over. Somebody says, oh, well, why I made this or that. And you're like, oh, that sounds so good. I haven't done that forever. So just for fun. Besides, I love to cook. So for dinner, we had shrimp scampi. So I made shrimp in a white garlic cheesy sauce over rotini noodles. And then just a big green salad and some lemon cheesecake with blackberries on top. So simple, super yummy. And then we also had a little bit of fudge because I made fudge for Christmas. So we had a little piece of fudge here and there. But it was really good. The cheesecake was so yummy. And then I'm going to show you a couple more of the things I made from the other day when we did our pour. So I got this new mold a while ago, and I never used it. Hey, calm down. He's like, that's my toy. All right, fine. I'll show this one. I made this cute little heart box container, and then the lid, and Caden chewed holes right off of it. You still need to make dinner, but that sounds yummy. It was yummy. What are you making for dinner? Anyway, you can see all the little bite marks out of it. Now, when I pulled it out of the mold, it was still quite soft, so he's actually able to just chew chunks off of it. Now, it did have some bubbles in it. Oh, here he goes, chewing again. So I couldn't have used it anyway, which is kind of why I just let him chew on it. But the lids are tricky. It's really hard to make them without bubbles underneath. So he's still trying to decide. Just make shrimp scampi. You're silly baby. Anyway, so either I'm just going to do this one without a lid because it's just a cute little trinket box, or I'll redo the lid, but it was cute. And then I made this, like I said, it was a new mold, and it's kind of cool. So it's full of these really big, kind of cool seashells. And I just put a little bit of sparkle in it, but I want to get, so they have these wood bases you can buy. So it's a wood base with a light, and then you set, whatever thing that you make on top of it, and the light shines up into it. And so, oh, you do still need my recipes. Sorry, reading comments. I've worked on them, and I've got a bunch of them, but I always got a million things going on. I'm going to make your recipe book. I was going to get it done for Christmas and give you a recipe book, but did I get it done? No. I've been working crazy. Yeah, it's so nice. Anyway, I want to get those base lights, and then you can set these on, and then it's a cool, like a little night light or accent light or whatever. So I'm going to do some of that. And then here's the last necklace that I made using the dies. So it's got the different colors kind of swirled through it. It's cool. Now, my lighting in here is terrible. Eventually, I'll probably have a good setup with some maybe good lights and a cute background and everything. Right now, it's just us on the wall on our laptop. So, oh, you know what to do with that, huh? Oh, nice. Want it? Want it done? No? You're like, no. Okay. All right. So, last chapter. Last one. So we'll do a recap of yesterday was chapter 20. And kind of the biggest, I mean, it was a long one, but I think, okay, the biggest highlight of the chapter was, well, there's two. So she kind of broke things off. You can't take it. I'm using it with William. and kind of told him that they'd probably just spend the rest of their lives trying to wish the other one would be different. And she kind of knew deep in her heart that William and Judith really were much better suited. Hey, calm down. Be sweet. Look. Don't be grumpy. Look. Who's that? Don't be grumpy. You gonna get down? Oh my goodness. My grandpa always used to say about the children, they're too darn contrary to do what they please. That's what he's doing. Put me down. Don't put me down. You can be. No. Say hi. Oh, do you need to go find Dada? No. If you're grumpy, you can't be in here. You have to be nice if you're going to come. Not this one? Anyway, so she broke it off with William. And so he said, okay, I won't come calling anymore. And then Caden. John came back. He was a prisoner of war. And he came back from being a prisoner, and he just looks terrible. He's skinny and dirty and in terrible shape. But he came home, and he came in, and when Judith saw him, she's like, oh, John. But it was like she wasn't even there. He just walked straight over to Mercy and fell down with his head in her lap. And he's just like, that's what he was living for, was to get out for Mercy, which is so cute. And poor Kit. She didn't say it in so many words, but she kind of made up her mind that she just wants to go back to Barbados because she feels like she's a burden. Their lives would be easier if she wasn't there, and she misses it. She wants to go home. You know? I don't know how she'd do it, though, because her grandpa's house is sold and everything. Where would she even go? But Chapter 21. On a lecture day in April, 2 marriage intentions were announced together in the meeting house. John Holbrook and Mercy Wood, William Ashby, and Judith Wood. Aw, see? Perfect. It all worked out right. The Wood household was busy from dawn till close to midnight. There was so much to do if all were to be ready for the double wedding that was set for early May. There were the vital matter of 2 dowries. Judith had been carefully hoarding a small store of linen since childhood, adding 1 cherished bit from time to time, and her loom and needle had worked busily. But Mercy had never given a thought to a dowry. She had not a single pillowcase or linen napkin that she could call her own. Because she's crippled, I think she thought she would never get married. Like, no one would ever want me, you know. But she's an angel. Of course, somebody wants her. Now, though Rachel fussed and stitched, Mercy still regarded the whole problem with indifference. Why did she need a dowry, she argued practically, when she was really not leaving home at all? She and John had already decided that for the first year at least they had best share the Woods' ample house. The company room was being readied with fresh whitewash and new linen curtains. John had resumed his studies with Dr. Bulkley. All his uncertainty had disappeared, and his steady eye and voice plainly revealed the core of strength that Kit had always sensed beneath his gentleness. In the days of his captivity, of which he never spoke, in the waiting for a chance to escape, and in the weary hunted trail down the Connecticut River, John had found his answers. Hey, come say hi.
Hi. Make sure you subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Good idea.
Yeah.
I should have you come on here and say that.
Yeah.
Well, guess who's here?
After she's done.
Guess who's watching right now? Mandy. Mandy's on. Wave to Mandy. You silly baby.
And this is Mother's story that she made.
The box. The cute box. Yep. So cute. Okay.
Bye, Mandy. Hope you have a good day tomorrow. I'm going to have some waffles tomorrow so that you know.
Yeah, we're going to make waffles in the morning. She loves waffles. Look, Mandy says hi. See down here? Right here. She typed in and said hi. Aw, she says she loves you. A rare appearance from Kaylissa. She's so sweet. Oh my goodness. She is the sweetest child. She takes such good care of him and keeps track of him and helps him. And I've never seen a baby that likes little children to hold him. Usually the children pick him up and drag him around and they're like squirming and crying and like, let me go. Not him. He goes to her and lifts up his arms and he's huge. So she picks him up and she's hauling him and his legs are dangling and he loves it. He loves her. It's so cute. They are so cute. What? Oh. Oh. Are you going to eat the eraser off? Love the rubbery eraser. Okay. Dr. Bulkley is everything I ever thought him to be, a great scholar and a great gentleman, he explained. In politics, he is obeying his own conscience, but I think he is mistaken. We have come to an understanding. He will teach me theology and medicine, but I will think as I please. By June, he would be ready to accept a call to one of the small parishes springing up to the south and west of Wethersfield. William's house on Broad Street was nearly finished. Piece by piece, he was assembling the costly treasures for its furnishing. Fine, hand-turned bedsteads and chests and chairs from the skilled Wethersfield joiner, Peter Blinn. Glossy pewter plates and a set of silver spoons from Boston. Real china bowls of blue and white Delft from Holland. Judith knew where every piece would go in the new house and how to care for each lovely thing to keep it shining. She and William spent their evenings in happy planning, and their contentment was good to see. Kit had never found William so likable before. Well, that's a pretty good indication that they shouldn't be together. She's never liked him more than when he was engaged to somebody else. But he's so much happier, and so is she, so you know. In the midst of all this preparation, Kit silently made her own plans. She would not share them with anyone till every detail was carefully provided for. Her leaving would be a shock to them, she knew. Rachel, and Matthew in his own way, looked upon her as a daughter, but even a daughter, though welcomed and loved, could come to be a problem. There was no real place for her here. With John to help with the planting and Mercy still sharing the work of the household, there was no obligation now to hold Kit to the tasks she hated. They would protest, they might even sorrow a little, but in their hearts, wouldn't they be relieved to see her go? The ice on the river broke into great floating blocks and gradually thinned and disappeared. The ferry boat began its daily journeys from Smith's Landing back and forth to the opposite shore. Small boats slipped out of their winter moorings, and one day a bustling, cheering crowd gathered along High Street to greet the first sailing ship up from New London. That afternoon, Kit climbed to the attic and surveyed the 7 small trunks. She had not looked inside them all winter. Now, one after the other, she threw back the lids and lifted the filmy dresses, holding up to the dim light. How long ago it seemed that she had worn these things. Could it be not quite a year? The silks and muslins and gauzes still gleamed unworn and beautiful, and doubtless they were still fashionable. She touched them wistfully. It would be good to shed these shabby woolen garments and feel once more the softness of silk against her skin, and to hear the rustle of petticoats wherever she moved. But the dresses must serve another purpose now. Would they bring enough to pay her passage on a ship? Fine cloth like this was rare in Connecticut. In many families, she had learned, one dress such as these would be handed down through 3 generations as a cherished possession. I think their clothes were made a little more heavy-duty than ours. Imagine passing your clothes down for 3 generations. Like your grandma, your mother, and you all wearing these things, but they were so, the finer cloths were so expensive and rarely worn and, really hard to come by. And everything was hand sewn, every stitch, so there wasn't cheap production of clothing back then like there is now. Surely in Hartford, or perhaps even here in Wethersfield, she would find willing buyers, even though she had not yet worked out a plan for approaching them. As she lifted the peacock green dress, she hesitated. How radiant Judith had looked in this dress. If only William could see me in it, she had said. She laid aside the dress, and very thoughtfully she chose another. He's so noisy. Sorry. A fine blue-flowered muslin. These two she would take directly to Uncle Matthew, and this time she felt sure he would let his daughters accept them, because he would know now that she offered the gifts with love instead of pride. All Kit's plans now turned toward Barbados. She had no illusions about the prospects before her. She would not be going back to Sir Francis Tyler's granddaughter. She would go as a single woman who must work for her living. Her best chance, she had decided, lay in seeking employment as a governess in one of the wealthy families. She liked teaching children, and hopefully there might be a library where she could extend her own learning as well as that of her charges. Whatever befell, there would be a blue sky overhead and the warmth and color and fragrance and beauty that her heart craved. Oh, he can take the lids off. He can take the lids off of everything. Pins, spices. He dumped dillweed right into my coffee. It wasn't that bad. I was desperate. One day in mid-April, she walked alone down South Road. She could not go far, for the river was still very high from the melting snows. It had overflowed so that the fringe of poplar trees on its banks stood deep in water, and the cornfields were transformed into endless lakes. Blackbird Pond had been swallowed up, and Hannah's house, had it still been standing there, would have been flooded up to its thatched roof. Poor Hannah! How had she endured this ordeal year after year, watching while the water crept nearer and nearer, stowing her valuables higher in the rafters, moving away goodness only knew where to wait out the season in some deserted barn or warehouse, and creeping back when the water receded to scrub out her house and replant her soggy garden. Kit was thankful, as she had been so many times when the wind howled and the snow piled higher, that her friend was snug in a proper house. But she knew a pang of homesickness nonetheless. The little cottage had been very dear to her. She perched on a sun-dried rock and sniffed the air. There was an earthy, indefinable scent that stirred her senses. The new shoots of the willows were sharp yellow-green. The bare twigs of the maples were tipped by swelling red buds. A low bush nearby had blossomed in tiny gray balls. She reached to touch one curiously. It was furry and soft as the kitten that Prudence had held in her arms that summer afternoon. All at once, Kit was aware that this New England, which had shown her the miracle of autumn and the white wonder of snow, had a new secret in store. This time, it was a subtle promise. Come on. Can't get the page to turn. There we go. A tantalizing hint of beauty still withheld, a beckoning to her spirit to follow she knew not where. She had forgotten that summer would come again, that the green would spread over the frozen fields, that the earth would be turned up to the sun and the seed sown, and that the meadows would renew themselves. Was this what strengthened these New Englanders to endure the winter, the knowledge that summer's return would be all the richer for the waiting? Yet the spring air held a sadness too, sharper than all the loneliness of winter. The promise was not for her. "I'm going away," she thought, and for the first time the reminder brought no delight, only a deeper longing.